he has declined to give a major speech on race. And while the speech following Trayvon Martin was good, I thought.
Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago.
It also said, basically this is it. It is not time to have a continuing conversation sponsored by the government. I thought that was disappointing. He could start such a conversation. He could encourage such a conversation. There are obviously political pressures on him not to, but he's in his second term. He has a certain amount of freedom. And I hope he uses the opportunity to speak not only words in praise of Dr. King and what he did and accomplished, and not only the future problems that face us, but what he can do as a national leader and what the U.S. government can do. There was a poll released a few days ago by the Pew Center that only less than a majority of Americans, 45%, believe, let me get the wording right, that only 45% believe there has been substantial progress towards racial harmony since King's speech in 1963. And as I'm sure you remember, the speech, or the march was labeled not just a march for freedom, but a march for jobs, too. The unemployment rate in 1963 for black people was twice that of white people. That is almost exactly what it is today, twice. So, the struggle has not ended. It's just how much we're going to commit ourselves to breaching this gulf. There have been improvements. There have been, massive increases in civil rights. The struggle still continues. There is still a lot to do. And I hope the president commits himself to lead a national conversation. White people are obviously much more aware of how minorities live in America today than they were in 1963. But that's still not enough. I mean, a lot of people, both in 1963 and now, don't see much of a benefit for integration. They don't want segregated schools, they don't want segregated housing, but you heard then as and now black parents saying, it doesn't raise the IQ of my black child to sit next to a white kid. What we need is good teachers in black schools. The trouble with that, and I believe this deeply because I spent a month in South Africa during the bad old days of apartheid. And you saw what a price society paid for segregation. White people in South Africa honestly had no idea how black people lived. What you heard in the 60s in America was something you would never hear said today because it was bring instant scorn upon you. But white people openly said, what do they want? I don't understand what black people want. And Lyndon Johnson would say that. He passed the Civil Rights Law of 1964. He signed it, and there were still riots. And it was, I don't get it. We got to get it. We got to understand each other. And if we don't get it, and if this, I've called it the single most important issue that Americans don't want to discuss. It was true in 1963. It's true in 2013. We still don't want to discuss it. And you can see people stepping back from discussing it. Fine, we're going to do, replications of the marches and different kinds of ceremonies, and the president is going to use the bully pulpit to speak about it. But we've got to get real Americans talking about it in a nonviolent way, looking for nonviolent solutions. And I think that it is one of the positive legacies of King, that nonviolence sort of won in the end over limitless street violence. That was not going to persuade many people. That is a positive result and a long-lasting result of what Dr. King did in 1963 and beyond.